you very much for that.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. It is now 6:00 p.m., so I am going to call this meeting to order. Jackson, are you able to give us a roll call?
Yes, so the people I have present right now is online, Bert Narita, John Boydell, George West, Bruce Wong, Margaret Murchie, and Don Pearsons, sorry. And, and Winston Welch. And then in person, we have Dylan Witzel, Linda Wong, Julia Allen, and Laura St. Dennis.
And so I believe that's 10. 11. All right, so we do have a quorum. So the first order of business is the election of officers, and that is the chair position for the term until June 2023. And so right now, if any board members would like to make a nomination for the chair position. Yes.
I would like to nominate Dylan Witzel for chair.
All right, so we have a nomination. This type of vote does not need a second.
Okay.
Just a nomination, but if there are any other nominations for chair. Again, are there any other nominations for the chair position?
Move nominations be closed.
Okay, it has been moved that the nominations.
I second that.
Okay, so it has been moved and seconded to close the nominations for the chair position. Is there any opposition to closing the nominations?
Chair, I just joined the meeting. This is Michelle Matson. Could you repeat the nominations, please?
Hi, Board Member Matson. Yes, so far, the only person who has been nominated for the chair position has been myself.
I can go along with that.
Okay, so if there is no opposition to closing the nominations, then we can do a roll call vote on the chair position. Jackson, if you can assist with that.
Okay, real quick, I want to confirm it was John that seconded, correct?
I think there was no second required from what you.
For
Yeah,
closing
the motion.
nominations.
Bert moved, and I
I
believe it
seconded.
was John that seconded, or Winston.
It was Winston.
Okay,
It was Winston. Okay, thank you. Let me. Okay. So some people might still be joining us, but I'm going to go through everyone that I know is here right now. We're going to start with Bert Narita.
Hey.
Okay, John Boydell.
Aye.
George West.
Present.
Is that an aye for Dylan Weitzel to be chair?
Mr. West, this is for the election of officers, the chair position.
We're currently voting on whether or not Dylan will be chair.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next up, Bruce Wong.
Aye.
Margaret Murchie.
Aye. Thank you.
Don.
Aye.
Winston.
Aye.
and Michelle.
Aye.
Okay, and now for the in present members, we have Linda Wong,
Aye.
Julia Allen,
Aye.
Laura St. Dennis,
Aye.
and lastly, Dylan himself.
Abstain.
Okay. Are there any board members who have joined the meeting at this time that I missed and have not gotten to vote yet? If so, please unmute yourself, state your name and your position. Okay. So, sorry, just a second while I finish counting exactly how many people there are here right now. So, by a vote of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11 ayes and 1 abstention, Dylan is now chairperson for the board. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We will next move to the second item of business on the agenda, and that is the filling of vacancies. And we have one vacancy in Subdistrict 3. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to fill the vacancy in Subdistrict 3?
Are you, Chair, are you taking nominations
Yes, we will take nominations now.
after people volunteer?
If she would like to accept, then you can nominate and she can accept it. Yeah. So would you like to introduce the member of the audience that you would like to nominate?
Thank you. I would like to nominate Arlene Velasco. She's eminently qualified, and I think she'll make a very good board member, but I'll let her tell you about that.
Okay. So Ms. Velasco, if there are any words that you'd like to say to the board.
Thank you. I'd like to say thank you very much for the nomination. I really appreciate it. Would be thrilled to serve on the board. I've been coming to the board meetings since I moved here 10 years ago, and I've been working for Hawaii-based companies for the last 30 years. And so I welcome the chance to become an active participant in the lawmaking and the decision making of the community. Right now I'm a working engineer. I still work full time for a local company.
Great. Thank you very much. And are there any other nominations for this subdistrict position? If not, Ms. Velasco has been nominated, and so we will move to a vote to elect Ms. Velasco to the board to fill the subdistrict 3 vacancy, and then Jackson can verify her residency. So Jackson, if we can do a roll call vote on electing Ms. Velasco to the Subdistrict 3 vacancy.
All right, going down the list this time. Julia,
Aye.
Margaret,
Aye.
Bert,
Aye.
Bruce Wong,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
I'll come back to the chair at the end. Winston,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Dawn,
Aye.
Laura,
Aye.
and Linda.
Aye.
All right, by a vote of,
And Jackson, I vote aye too.
oh yeah. Sorry about that. Well, that is a final vote of 12-0-0. So Arlene Velasco is now on the board. I will verify her residency on the side and administer the oath of office, at which point she'll join you up there.
Okay, thank you. So yes, we'll just take a minute recess for Jackson just to do what he has to do.
Chair, I might take this minute just to remind all the people present that the candidates for neighborhood board elections deadline, since we just filled a couple positions are closing shortly. You probably know the exact date, but to have people get their bios in if they wish to be on the ballot.
The deadline is February 17th to register.
This is Don Persons. I will not be running for the board.
Is the chair available?
He's giving the oath of office.
The chair?
Yes, Board Member Mattson?
Oh, who's speaking? Is it Jackson?
This is Dylan.
Oh, Dylan, thank you. I just
Yes,
have a
Jackson
question.
is.
During your
Jackson's
re-
currently assisting Miss Velasco with her proof of residency and getting signed onto the board.
Understood. And during this recess, I'd like to ask a question well, it's not a question of record, but there has been something that has arisen that would immensely affect this neighborhood board, and we may need a special meeting because of a city council hearing deadline. Is there some way we could discuss this? It was our agenda, our committee agenda, our board agenda went out way before we could even be aware of this in its entirety. I'm just asking your advice.
Yes, I think if you want to make a note of that and give a little bit more detail, I would say maybe during the open forum for resident concerns. I guess we could squeeze that in there, and then we can also maybe after the meeting as well.
Fine, thank you so much.
Yep.
I had actually asked those items to be on the agenda prior to the going out, but I think you and Jackson were both out of town. So I had made their request, but it was too late to get on the agenda by the time that they figured out what was going on.
All right, and it seems that everything checked out. So thank you and welcome to the board, Miss Velasco. And now I will be calling this meeting back to order at 6:13 p.m. And so up next on our agenda, item 4, public safety monthly reports. Item A, Honolulu Fire Department. If there are any representatives online, as I don't see anyone in person. Is there anyone online available from the Honolulu Fire Department? Okay, we will move on, and if they do end up coming online, we will go back to them. Up next, item B, Honolulu Police Department, District 6, Waikiki, Kapiolani Park.
Hi, good evening.
Oh, good evening.
So, District 6 stats for the month of December 2022. Robberies, we had 7. Burglaries, we had 12. Thefts, 165. UEMVs, 31. Assaults, 43. Sex crimes, 5. Bicycle, skateboard violations, 22. Had 8 speeding citations, 1,922 parking citations, 1 loud muffler, 105 park closure citations, 6 arrests, and for a total of 4,020 violations.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the public for the District 6 police? Is there anyone online who has any questions from the public for the police? Hearing none. Board members for District 6, are there
Mr.
any?
Chair,
There's a
uh,
hand up.
Daisy Marai has her hand up online.
Okay, I apologize. Ms. Marai, if you have a question for District 6, please go ahead.
Hi, sorry, can you hear me? I'm not,
Yes.
oh, sorry.
Yes, we can hear you.
Infraction of the traffic laws, or does HPD have to do a citation first, then the tow truck comes and can tow it away? Because I think there was an article in the Alawai Boat Harbor that the tow trucks are just roving around the area, even though they're assigned to that particular area, they just go around looking for things to tow away. But does this require HPD before they can do that?
I'm sorry, Miss Moran, I missed the first part of your
Okay.
question.
Okay, regarding the small boat harbor at Alawai,
Yes.
okay, you notice that there was an article in the paper about tow truck companies just circulating around to get traffic infractions. Are they allowed to do it on their own, or do they require HPD citation first?
So the boat harbor is partly semi-private. So they're
Okay.
allowed to tow for whatever the private side is, if it's a parking violation without the permit. But for towing for any kind of violation, like some kind of infraction, they would require us.
Okay, so in other words, if they stay beyond their parking meter in the private, was it the public area, then the tow truck can come and take it away? Is
The
that how
private
it
side,
works?
yeah, because certain areas you need permits to park.
Right.
So without the permits, yes, they're allowed to come and tow.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
All right.
All right, thank you. Are there any other questions from the public at this time for the District 6 Police? Seeing or hearing none, board members in person, I believe, Ms. Wong.
Thank you. I'd like you to tell us more about that. But to my understanding, tow truck drivers are not allowed to go around and look for people they can tow. That can't be, they're just not allowed to do that. But you're saying something different?
Correct. Some of the parts of the harbor are private areas which require a parking permit.
What if they're not in one of those areas? I see
Then they
tow
would-
truck drivers troll a lot.
Then they would need us, either for some kind of violation that we're requesting a tow truck for.
Oh, because it's state property.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any other
You know, I got towed. I'm sorry. I got towed from Kaimana Beach, and it was a tow truck driver that just took my car, and it wasn't by the police. I mean, because the beach is sort of like the Alawai boat yard. So you're saying if a private party requests for them to be towed, then you would come out and have them cite them?
If there was some kind of violation, correct.
Like in a no parking zone or parking after hours or something?
Yes.
Okay. So they could be called out by the owner of the property.
Yes.
Does that go for residential people also? Like I live in a condo and people park in other people's places. So then
No, that would be private property, and that would be something like your property manager would have to take care of.
Okay, I think we will move on. Yes, Ms. Denise.
When they're picking up the rubbish, there's a car that for the last couple of weeks has been blocking the access for the garbage trucks. And they honk the horn, but nobody comes and the car is still there. Do we report that to the police?
That would depend where the pickup is located. If it's located on
Yeah, it's on Poole Circle.
It's on the roadway?
Pardon me?
It's on the public roadway?
Yes.
Yes, then they can call.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions from board members in person? Ms. Wong will come back to you if we have anyone else. Board members online, are there any questions? No questions from board members online. Okay, we'll take one more from you, Ms. Wong.
Thank you. I'm not, in the absence of a property manager, can the board of directors be the ones that call in if there's no property manager on site?
No, it would have to be a property manager.
And if you don't have a property manager, you just can't do it then.
It'll be difficult, yes.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for your time, District 6.
Thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda is District 7, Honolulu Police Department, Diamond Head, Kapahulu, St. Louis Heights, East Honolulu. Yes, please.
Lieutenant Taro Nakamura for District 7. These are the stats for December as compared to the previous month. Motor vehicle thefts were 16 as compared to 5. Burglaries were 15 as compared to 12. Thefts in general were 29 as compared to 25. And UEMVs, which is theft from autos, was 12 as compared to 6. This is out of total calls for service of 8,464. Further statistical information can be found on our website, which is honolulupd.org. And our safety tip for the month, since it's getting darker sooner, is jaywalking. Just a reminder that jaywalking is a crime, and it takes the cooperation of all people, pedestrians and motorists, to try to prevent pedestrian accidents. So if you're walking, watch out for the cars, crossing the crosswalks, common sense stuff like that. And then if you're driving, please, please, please look out for pedestrians, especially younger kids, mid-block, stuff like that, so we have less pedestrian accidents. And that's our safety tip for the month.
All right. Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the public? All right. Seeing or hearing none. Are there any questions from board members in person? Yes, I actually just had one question really quickly regarding jaywalking. I've heard in the past, and maybe you can provide clarification, but is there a maximum distance between two intersections in which if you were to cross, it would not be considered jaywalking because there isn't an available crosswalk?
Yes, there is. I'm a lieutenant, so it's been a while since I wrote one, but I can look it up and get back to you next month on it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So are there any questions from board members online? I see Winston Welch.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I was wondering, we're seeing a lot more of these sort of one-wheeled motorized skateboards and then the regular scooters and yeah, and even some that they're sort of pushed with a stick. I'm just wondering what is the correct place for those folks to move? Is it indeed in the street on the single wheeled or double wheeled skateboard, scooters, and single wheels? Well,
Yeah,
I guess
well,
I like skateboards.
there is a continuing, ongoing. I don't know how to say it except it's a discussion. Certain parts of the community want less cars on the road and more alternative routes. And I understand other people's confusion because there are certain types of vehicles like those one-wheeled motorized skateboard-looking things that are just flat out dangerous. So where should they be? Should they be on the sidewalk? Should they be on the road? there's actually conflicting rules where you can have those kind of uh, I'm not even going to say they're vehicles because that's another touchy subject too. But they're not regulated by the city or the state like a bicycle is. Where should they be? That's a very good question, and I think that needs to be answered because sooner or later, one of these guys they're going to just go right through an intersection, collide with the car. The car might not be at fault, but who's gonna pass away and who's gonna get sued? It's it's not a good situation. It's just not a good situation. And then we have these bike lanes that people are taking advantage of. Originally, they're supposed to be for bicycles. Um, it's actually morphed way into a lot of things, and are people on skateboards, motorized skateboards, those mono wheels, are they following the law? No, they're not. If we catch them, we're going to cite them. I hope that answers your question, but we do need more clarity on the law as far as that is concerned.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any other questions from board members online? We'll go back to. All right, seeing none from board members online, we'll go back to in person. Board member Velasco.
Yes, would like to ask about the double occupancy I've seen on some of these motorized items. You know, two people on a scooter, three people, and they're traveling maybe 15 miles an hour. You know, no helmets, just a couple people on one scooter. Is that legal or?
On a moped, it's actually illegal to we call it packing on a moped, but yeah, it's illegal to have a passenger on a moped. And that you would if you're caught, you would get a citation for that. The difficult thing is some there's some small scooters. They have the white license plates like regular motorcycles. They're small enough to look like a moped, so it depends on the actual motor. If it's a motor scooter, then you can have a pedestrian. I mean, sorry, you can have a passenger because they're designed to carry passengers. But mopeds are not, so you cannot.
Yeah, so the white license plates, they're classified as having enough horsepower. So they're considered in the motorcycle class, but if it's an orange license plate, then it's a moped.
Well, I
And
was
then-
actually talking about like the
That's correct.
scooters, the upright scooters and those that have just like two wheels, one in the front, and they're electric. I've
Oh, okay,
seen,
that's
I've,
fine. Yeah, I
I've
don't-
seen,
Those are just-
I've seen
those are
babies
flat out-
in
yeah.
front packs being
Yeah,
transported
to me,
like
they're
that.
flat out illegal. They shouldn't even be on the road. But I'm probably gonna get in trouble for saying that. So
All right,
yeah,
thank
you're
you.
absolutely right. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any other questions for Honolulu District 7 Police? Seeing or hearing none, we will move on to giving Honolulu Fire Department one more chance, just in case anyone tuned in. Thank you very much. Okay, seeing none from Honolulu Fire Department, we will move on to our next agenda item, number 5, Government Administration Reports. Up first is Honolulu Mayor's Office.
Thank you, Chair. This is Anton Krucky. It's good to be back. I apologize that I missed the December meeting. So highlights of events in the city. You may have seen in the paper that in October of last year, the city bought the Waikiki Vista Tokai University building. We finalized that purchase, and we're reviewing it now for uses. And one of the primary uses would be affordable housing, and it's actually my department of community services that is coming up with different scenarios. We're talking to developers and getting bids on how to do that. You also may have seen an article in the newspaper about it may be a potential site of the city hall if renovations are done at the city hall. So that's what's at property. There's a $30 million nonprofit grant program in place right now. It just started. And this is for nonprofits that experience financial losses during the pandemic. And they can apply. They can go to oneoahu.org and apply and see the eligibility requirements. You can get up to $100,000 per nonprofit in relief. In continuing commitment to Chinatown, which isn't here, but they had a blessing and lei draping ceremony to mark the completion of the renovations of the Dr. Sun Yat-sen Memorial Park. They also announced, I think you might have seen last week, that the continued patrol in Chinatown has been, the extra police have been continued for another year. Dawn Takeuchi Apuna was named as a director for DPP. She was used to be the deputy director there, and Jiri Samada was appointed the deputy director, and Craig Harai, who came over from the state, joined the city as the new chief of affordable housing policy and strategy in DPP. Haku Mills was named director of the City Department of Design and Construction. The new newsletter is out. Again, you can go to oneoahu.org/newsletter. It's a nice way to see all the events going on in the city and the mayor's position on those. For the second year in a row, Forbes has distinguished the city and county of Honolulu among America's best employers by state, ranking number 2 employer in Hawaii and number 1 in the state for government services. To explore career opportunities at City and County of Honolulu, please visit governmentjobs.com/careers/Honolulu. I think on January 25th, there'll be a career fair for jobs. So you can have people that are interested, especially beginning jobs, you might want to direct them that way. This came up earlier, but the exact dates and everything for the neighborhood commission office for the 23 to 25 board election applications are now available online. You go to web1.hnl.info/NBE for candidates and voters. The important dates, as was mentioned earlier, February 17th, 23, candidate filing deadline. April 28th, voting begins, and May 19th, voting ends. And then who can vote? Anyone can vote, including military personnel, military families, and legal resident aliens. Must be at least 18 years of age by Friday, February 17th, 2023, and voted in the last general election or registered, or you can register with the NCO to vote specifically for neighborhood board elections. There were some follow-up items that have been over the last couple of months, and again, I apologize for not being in attendance last month. But there was one on the trees on Laiahi Avenue. Multiple residents reported trees that were planted recently on Laiahi Avenue directly below utility lines. The residents were worried that the trees would grow and become larger and wanted them assessed before they became too large. And so I turned that over to DPR, and they will send their folks that do these tree evaluations, and they'll inspect and evaluate all the trees and palms planted improperly, and they will remove the trees and palms if deemed warranted. There were involving liquor licenses on the street, Bill 27 concerns. A resident was concerned that Bill 27 would allow restaurants to serve alcohol on sidewalks, and was concerned that dining on sidewalks would restrict ADA access. It's not monitored. We went to the Liquor Commission and also DTS. There's a whole protocol on obtaining a license, and those kind of things are reviewed when you obtain those licenses, and the ADA access compliance is actually part of that permit process. And you can go online to honolulu.gov and see some of the more information on how people get those licenses and what are the requirements. There was another one on abandoned beach railing at Makalei Beach. And that's really a state issue, but I deal with the state a lot. So I went to the state and said, hey, can you do that? And the deal and our crews have removed that abandoned railing. So we got that done. DTS, the Campbell Stop and Shop, residents reported a sign fronting a store on 3368 Campbell Avenue stating parking only for Campbell Stop restaurants. The parking space in question is in public parking. Department of Transportation will conduct an investigation requiring research and field assessment and will take appropriate action as warranted by their analysis. And then I'll follow up on these ones that said they'll go and take a look at it. That's my the end of my official report. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Director Krucky. At this time, I will ask first for members of the public if there is anyone who has any questions. I see Miss Daisy Marai.
Question, Director. I understand Chinatown, downtown, there's going to be 3 total hotels to be built. One is the Wolfette, which they are converting to a luxury type hotel, which is good because they kept the facade. But I understand the Remington University building on Hotel and Bishop, that's going to be converted to a hotel. I understand there's another one on Nimitz Highway. Forgot what the cross street is, but my question is, why are we going to decide to make hotels into downtown Chinatown unless we clear up the crime? I mean, it's a good place to visit during the day, but nighttime is a little bit tricky, and you're going to have tourists and visitors that are unfamiliar with Chinatown the evening time. It's a safety issue. So my question is, why are we converted buildings to 3 hotels? Thank you.
Well, I actually the third one that you mentioned along Nimitz, I don't think that's finalized yet. But I sat in a presentation on that one myself, and the investors they believe that there's a good robust hotel business there. There's they'll have indoor dining and such in the hotels, but I would also say that activating an area and having people actually has a positive effect on the neighborhood, and can be an area where it can actually reduces crime. So Chinatown's a big focus for this administration, and they continue to monitor it. We've added more beat police in Chinatown, and we have fewer people on the street in Chinatown. So I mean, that's sort of an investment decision to bring people and activate those areas.
Okay, thank you. And I think it's also to increase density in the PUC. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I also see a Noella.
Oh, hi, everybody. Happy New Year. My question, Mr. Krucky, is regarding the Makalei Beach Rail, sir. Was a rail replaced where it was on the sand, and was the underside of the sidewalk that goes way deep in, was that reinforced?
I don't know about the sidewalk, but there weren't any additional rails put up.
So there's a big empty space.
Well, I don't know. I went down to look at that beach actually after this complaint, and I didn't see a dangerous spot there, but I may not be reading it like you're reading it.
Well, if you walk by,
I actually went down there and took pictures of the beach. Yeah.
Well, if you're walking on that sidewalk, it's paper thin, and also you have a rail throughout it with that one exception, and it's an open space where people can fall into the sand and or rocks when it's low tide. So to me, thank you for removing the rail from the sand. Thank you, that's very good. But I believe that there should be more done, placing a new rail there and reinforcing that sidewalk. It is extremely thin and it is bad. It's undermining the erosion to the homeowners that are right along that corridor. And it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And it's definitely a liability down the line here. So please consider going back and looking at it, putting a rail there, or even some ropes. I mean, I don't care, just something. But that sidewalk is, ooh, I won't even walk on it. It's scary.
I'll check with both DLNR and our Parks and Rec on that. Thank you.
You're very welcome, sir. Thank you. Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Now we will move to board member questions, if there are any first here in person. Yes, board member Sandinis.
Thank you for coming. The street is almost back to normal, but we don't have the parking in front of the community garden still. I talked to one person that said there cannot be parking more than 20 feet from a crosswalk, but there's still room for um, parking in front of the community garden. And the gardeners have started parking in the road when they want to bring tools or dirt or plants to their garden. And it's really making a hazardous situation because it takes us back to being a one-lane street. And if two cars are going in two different directions, um, it's very hazardous. I don't see why some of those parking spaces can't be opened up because there is one parking space on the Waikiki Elementary School side that is not more than that is more than 20 feet. So there'd be space for one car there and three cars on the side where the lifeguard building is. I think you fit three cars in there. And there are a lot of renters who move because they don't have parking in their building. And it's also, was used by the gardeners. And about the trees, thank you for checking on those trees because they're still young enough that if an arborist, was overseeing it, those trees could be moved and saved because they were, some nice trees that were put in. There are also 3 trees in front of the lifeguard building that she put in that would give us 3 parking spaces there. There were 4 trees, one of them is dead. And I, realize that's a very small issue, but parking in our neighborhood is at a premium. So thank you.
Thank you. I'll check with DTS, Roger Morton, and have them kind of evaluate the parking spaces there and also have them look at if they want to go after those spots where the 3 trees were. But anyway, I'll ask him for his plans there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or concerns from board members in person? Yes, Board Member Velasco.
Yes, I just have a quick question on Leahe Avenue. There used to be street sweepers who would go by the street periodically, and ever since the takeover of the street from Mary Jones, they stopped, and I haven't seen them return. And it would be nice to have a street sweeper like once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. If there are no more in-person questions, then we will move to board members online. I see first up Miss Margaret Murchie.
Hi, Anton. Thank you for your service. We did miss you at the meeting. There's no, just a heads up, there is no railing there at all now. So they took it out. It is kind of dangerous, and whether it's a state thing or a city thing. Also, too, I just thought of this, that this is not what I wanted to talk to you about, but all along Diamond Head Road, all of the alpaca has died, and they've chopped down trees, and I know that's probably not your side. I think it's on the Mauka side. It looks like a sprinkler maybe was broken, and I think maybe it was homeless. But if you drive along there, and I hadn't driven along there for quite a while, and I think Winston and I both went separately, but it's just terrible. The plants are all dead along there, and it's just this one little stretch. Also, too, with regard, there's been a lot of talk about the complete streets, and I just want to make sure that you tell Roger Morton, don't make any moves on that yet on the Alawai, because there's a lot of pushback from the community, and we're going to, hopefully be able to work something out, because, we were talking about it. 1% of the population ride bikes. The rest of us need the Alawai, not just Waikiki, but all of us. It's a major thoroughfare. You exit off the freeway, come down Kapahulu. Those are the directional signs. And it's just to double the bike path that they've never counted bikes on, by the way. And, it's rarely used. It's really, and they're going to have to remove, I don't know, 20 plus trees. I can't remember exactly how many, but it's a nightmare. And also too,
Are
with
you in
regard to
conversations
the,
with them about that, Margaret? Are you in
oh
conversations?
yeah, I went to
with
the
them?
neighborhood board. We've talked twice, Waikiki, and last night it was, or Tuesday night it was in, I mean, it's that everybody's freaking out. And I think they've got federal money and that's why they're pushing, they just keep pushing it, pushing it. And from what I understand from talking to another neighborhood board member in another neighborhood, is that the one that they put downtown on Olakea is just cause, now that pandemic's over and people are back in their offices, it's just making it crazy for people trying to get in and out of their buildings. Cause it's, I think they can't turn right now to get around it. And it's not, it's not in use, it's just crazy. And they're going to do the same thing to the Alawai. And it's not just Waikiki. They're just focusing on Waikiki, but all of us use the Alawai, to bypass or access Waikiki to get to the beaches, parks, hotels, harbors, Alamona Shopping Center, all of us. And I know they've got lots of federal money and that's why they keep pushing it and it's just not right. And if you look at their detailed pictures, it looks real pretty, but it's not reality. The reality is they've got a sidewalk, they've got 2 sidewalks already, and they have a bike path already. We got to come to some agreement here. And the plan is from like, Linda can talk about it, but I think it's from 2012 or something. And it's just, and they haven't never counted the bikes on the road. They count the cars just in Waikiki, but that's, like I said, everybody needs that roadway. It's the only one that works. They can lower the speed limit if they want, but it backs up at times too. And if they do that new project in Mo'ili, I mean, Kapiolani is going to be a mess. So we won't have, we don't have any options.
Miss Murchie, I
Okay.
think we're gonna move on, but I think we can have a longer conversation at that,
Okay,
maybe at
can I
a
do
special
this one
meeting or
thing?
something.
The noise ordinance that we, in Waikiki, I went down and testified in front of the whole city council. And they all agreed that, that it was all tweaked. They'd made arrangements with the police and everything to be able to enforce it. All the city council members voted for it and it went to the mayor and he vetoed it. They said it wasn't enforceable the way it was written. And I know that Tommy Waters had tweaked it and had gotten it approved by everyone. I ran into Steve Alm on the street the other day and he said that they're tweaking it, but Tommy said that there is actually a ruling on the books from 1999 from like Jeremy Harris or maybe Murphy that, disallows that, the amplified noise, recorded
Thank
noise.
you,
My-
Board Member
Sorry.
Murchie.
Okay, sorry.
We are going to move on to Board Member Welch.
Hi, thanks, Director Cookie, and Happy New Year to you. Thanks for your service. I just had a couple quick comments. One was that I think maybe DFM came out on Kapahulu and cleaned up the trash. I couldn't believe how many bags of trash they had. So please give our thanks to whoever did clean that up. I'm guessing DFM between the library and the parking lot of the side street inn and that area back there. And if you can ask them to tell them thank you and to please come basically on a weekly basis because it gets filled up all the time. The other one is that there's a couple burned out houses on date just before, as you're going Eva, right before the high school playing fields, and they've been there for years. I don't know if there's a light on, so I'm not sure. No one can live there. It's uninhabitable, but I don't know if they're a hazard or not. Finally, since this is an area of expertise, is there a number you could share with the public when we might come across someone who's in need, who is on the streets where we realize they need services, but it's not the police that need to come. It's a response team, whether it's wound care or maybe getting them into housing or something, some service that the city could provide that comes out and does an assessment and maybe says, hey, we're gonna take care of you from here. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that. I don't know anything about the burned out houses. I can check those out. I did talk to DFM about doing cleanups, and I'll tell them about getting on more of a regular schedule. In regards to your comment about who to call, that's really the core program, and that's what exactly how you described it is what they do. They have refurbished ambulances. They come. It's not HPD. They can do an assessment. They can do help with wound care. If the person wants to go with them, we have places to take them. So the number there is 768 CORE, CORE, for the Crisis Outreach Response and Engagement. 808-768 CORE.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Also, Board Member Welch, here in person, and to anyone else who's interested, there are these little pink handouts. They're these rectangular handouts, and they have all kinds of important services numbers that you can refer people to for various kinds of services. So if there's any way that I can get you one of those, then we can work that out. Are there any other questions from board members? I see Bruce.
Yes, Mr. Kraki, like I'm glad to see that something is being done with that old restaurant Wolfat. But my question is, has any thought been given to removing the buses from Hotel Street, putting them on Beretania and King, and turning Hotel Street into a mall type area like they have in New Orleans with Bourbon Street? And so to me, something like that would be a good attraction, and then it'll bring people to Chinatown. But I just want to hear your thoughts on that.
I don't have any, I haven't heard of any plans to do that, but I'd be glad to contact Roger Morton and give him that recommendation or potential, idea for that area. But right now, I haven't, in any of my cabinet meetings, I haven't heard anything about that.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Any final questions for Director Krucky? Noella, is your hand still raised, or did you have another question?
Yes, it is raised.
Okay, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Mr. Krucky, thank you so very much for all of the hard work that you are doing. I do listen to you when you are a guest on Rick Hamada's Ask the Mayor show, so thank you for that. In response, Margaret Murchie reminded me, she brought up the Naupaka, right in front of Makalei Beach Park. If you're going Eva coming down the hill, there's a 10-mile-an-hour sign coming right in front of the beach park, Makalei, and there's also a big yellow light blinking. Well, there's a whole lot of keawe bush covering it up. I know it's there because I live in that area, but that's a real hot spot in terms of speeding. It's a 10-mile-an-hour zone because it's a blind curve from anybody exiting Makalei on a left. It's you're asking for trouble unless you listen. It's a speeding problem. The transportation department, they know about it. I personally would like humps there, those bump things, but I don't know. But for now, easy remedy. If you could ask the boys that take care of all the greensmen, could you tell them to go over there and just cut back the keawe in front of the 10-mile-an-hour sign and the big yellow blinking light, because people will see that better and that they might adhere to the 10-mile-an-hour speed limit. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for that. I just would say in general, when we get tips from citizens that point those things out, it's very helpful. I mean, then I can go and we can run it down and we go, hey, okay, we didn't see that. Let's go get it done. So thank you very much.
I love you guys for this. Thank you.
And I think we will take one more, and this is Board Member Mattson.
Well, just a thought. I'm surprised that our board member, Bruce Wong, didn't ask about the mayor's new tax plan. Could you fill us in on what is being contemplated, Director?
Did you say CAT plan?
Tax, property tax?
Oh, the tax plan. Well, I think he was on Spotlight yesterday talking about it. I don't think it's as much a new tax plan as the assessments went up, and there are a lot of issues about that. Is that what you're talking about?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, there's a process that you go through on assessments, and it's a very straightforward process. And we happen to be in a situation where the prices of homes have gone up, and in and that affected everyone's, yours, mine, everyone's taxes. So I don't know if there's a plan that you do anything about that. There, we kept announcing the date when you could protest the tax rate you got. I don't have that date in front of me. Maybe one of you know exactly when it was. I think it's coming up shortly, if not upon us. But I don't have much more to say about that. I don't think there's a plan that you alter that. The methodology is more or less kind of written as a straightforward thing, as a policy and ordinance. So
Yeah, I think it might have to go to city council because there is a tax rate, I think, of I forgot what it was, $3.50 per thousand of value. However, the idea is because of the escalation in residential home prices. I know one house in my neighborhood sold for $1 million over asking. And the tax department looks at the high sale and bases every single house around it on the higher sale as a value, which is way out of line.
well,
So,
they have a formula, and they have to follow the formula.
right.
So
Well,
that's
I
what they
think
do.
that may be part of the new planning process. Maybe we should ask Council Chair Waters about that.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's a council item or a charter item. He may be able to articulate on that.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Director.
Thank you.
All right. So moving on to the next agenda item, we have Honolulu Board of Water Supply. Is there any representative from the Board of Water Supply here tonight?
Yes, Chair. Kathleen Pahinui reporting to the Diamond Head Board. Congratulations on your election, and Happy New Year to you and the board. I'm pleased to announce we had no main breaks in your district last month, so that was good. And we will be at the BIA show, the Building Improvement Association show, coming up on January 20 and 22nd at the Blaisdell Arena. We hope you will join us. We've just newly launched a residential toilet rebate. Some of you may remember our toilet rebate back in the 1990s, if we're all that old. And that was very successful, and we brought it back by popular demands. And it's actually already doing very well. We've had it launched since September, and we're already close to 300 rebates being turned in. It's $45 for a toilet, up to 2 toilets. So we hope you will join us. The other thing I wanted to report on quickly was we are still working on finalizing the plans and specifications for fixing the fence and the plantings up around our Diamond Head Reservoir. So I will keep board members Welch and Matson in the loop on that, and they were very kind. They came out several months ago when we did a walkabout. So that's still in progress, and I'll keep the board informed as anything new develops. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the public currently? I see Ms. Marai.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Ms. Pahinui. Thank you for always being able to answer questions from the public. My question is, when you have large residential projects like the Kuile Place of 1,005 unit, which is 1 to 3 bedroom, which could be like 3,000 people living in that complex. My question is, besides the water, how do you assess the sewer? Because that's an older neighborhood, so shouldn't the sewer upgrade also be done? Because, you know, it's gonna really, that area has a lot of apartments. It's not only on that side, but on Date Street side and the other, nice luxury condos, etc. How do you assess this sewer? Because it's gonna break, because those pipes I'm sure are old. Thank you.
Ma'am, we don't do sewer.
Oh, sorry.
That's the Environmental Sewers Services Agency. And I will defer that question and ask Mr. Crucky to take that back to ENV for you to respond back.
Thank you for clarifying, but there is...
You're very welcome.
No, but then my other question is, how do you assess the water for that many people in that area because it's all apartment zone.
Well, what a developer does, or anybody that builds has to do, is they have to send us a letter and say, we are looking at a project of such and such a size, and we expect to service this many people. We then go and look at our water resources for that area, and then we determine whether there is capacity or not. Most of the time, there is capacity. We do not have the ability to stop a project from being built based on water alone, unless there is a severe reason. For example, in Aiea Halava, as we all know, they lost 50% of their water resources. If all of a sudden we were inundated with a lot of projects in the Aiea Halava, we would probably say we do not have enough water at this time to service these projects. But that doesn't mean that the projects could not get built at a later date, but we would not be able to necessarily serve them at this time. We always send a letter to anyone inquiring about water service saying that we will evaluate their project based on water availability when we receive their building permits into our agency. We never promise anybody that we will have water available. Other thing that we can do and that we do is that we know that this project has a large gray water component to them, which we support because we want to see more water reuse. And gray water, which has just been approved, the DOH will allow it. There are a lot of regulations in place, but they will allow it. And we really support people doing gray water reuse, and we want to see more of that because that saves the water for drinking and not being reused for toilets and washing machines and things like that. So we will put restrictions. One of the things that we do nowadays is we make sure that they have the proper plumbing fixtures. The plumbing code was just updated and approved by the city council. So it's much stricter in terms of the types of fixtures you can. They have to be very low flow, what we call water sense fixtures. We look at the kind of landscaping, like on a big project like this, we're going to want to make sure they're using plants that are low water plants and that they have the proper kind of irrigation system in place so they're not wasting water. So we do a lot of that, but we won't give our final approval on water availability until they send their plans into us through DPP, and that's still a ways away.
Okay, thank you. So does the water come from the wildlife pumping station?
That area was probably Wilder, probably some from Kaimuki. I know probably Beretania and maybe even Kalihi.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, great. Are there any other members of the public who have any questions for Board of Water Supply? Seeing none, we will go to board members in person. Is there anyone here who has a question? Ms. Velasco?
Yes, I was wondering if you could give us a status of the Red Hill contamination research. In particular, has anything been found out about the migration of the jet fuel into the aquifer bedrock? And I was wondering if you could give us an idea on how the shutdown of the wells has now affected our water supply to the rest of your system serving
Okay,
Honolulu.
thank you. And congratulations on your election to the board, Nicole.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yes, we're still trying to get data from the Navy. We will be meeting with them on February 3rd again. As you know, Ernie has been very vocal in his criticisms of the Navy and the lack of getting information, and they have basically told us that they will give us information if the regulators authorize it. But then you have to get DOH or EPA to say, yeah, it's okay to share that information. So we're not giving up. We will continue pushing. And thank you for bringing up the fact there is a series of meetings next week. You may have read about it in the paper. On the 18th, the EPA is holding a meetings on their new consent order with the Navy that does not include the DOH, and that was DOH's decision not to participate. They are going to be taking public input. It is going to be held at the Oahu Veterans Center up in Foster Village. And unfortunately, it's a very small location and the parking's not great. It is in the middle of a very crowded neighborhood, very similar to being in Kaimuki. Small streets, parking on both sides. If you do wish to attend, we recommend that you get there early. Otherwise, you can send in your comments to the EPA via email. If you go to our website, protectoahuwater.org, right on that page at the very top left, there is a link to the EPA page and more information. The 18th will also have like an open mic where they will be taking questions and answers and testimony from the public. On the 19th, and that will be from 5 to 8 p.m. on the 18th. On the 19th, same location, they will have what they call an open house where they will have tables of information, easel set up with boards. That will run from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. on the 19th. That, however, is not a public forum in the sense of a large audience Q&A. It's just more one-on-one. It's like going to a science fair, you know, or a health fair and just getting information from each of the booths. So we hope people will attend. We hope people will show up. We know the Sierra Club, I've been in touch with Wayne Tanaka, plans on making their presence known, and I believe the Oahu Water Protectors will be there in force. Also, there's going to be a walk for water at Ala Moana on March 19th in support of World Water Day that is being organized also by the Sierra Club. So I just want to put a plug in for them. So thank you. Thank you, board member.
Okay, great. And I see one more hand from board member Murchie.
Hi there. I know that you said you were in charge of the sewer, but the Kuile project will surely stress the system. And I know that they've made a request, like in their proposal, for special waivers from you in particular and other utilities. And with regard to the sewer, they say that they have a new system that they're going to try out. And I just think you guys really need to pay attention here because I mean, it's huge. And it's important that you guys be on this. And because I guess because they get a special dispensation because they're partially moderate and affordable housing, they get a fast track for it. And maybe they are able to get, released from the normal applications. And I just think that you guys really need to take a look at this, please.
We have seen the project. I think we have the plans in review right now, some of the plans, the initial early plans, and we gave our first rush, review of it. I want to make it clear, we give deferrals, not exemptions. And I saw that the paper at least had that correct. We don't,
What's a
they have to
deferral?
pay us at some point, but we don't demand the money up front like we do with smaller projects where you have to pay at the time of the permit. They will pay us later upon a certain amount of criteria being met. But thank you. I hear what you're saying, and I will
No,
make
it's
sure that
just,
my boss is aware.
yeah, no, it's just, we're very concerned about the traffic impacts and everything else, but
Yeah.
definitely the water and sewage.
Yeah. I definitely, I know, I see both your council members have their representatives here, so I definitely work with your council members very closely. Thank you. Thank you, board member.
All right, great. I don't see any other hands raised, so thank you so much, Kathleen.
Mahalo. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
All right, so now we will move to item 6 on our agenda, open forum for resident concerns. If there's anyone from the public first who has any resident concerns they would like to bring up.
Oh, point of order.
So I'm so sorry, I skipped. Okay, yes, Kapiolani Community College under Government Administration Reports. I believe it was Miss Hoshiko.
Yes, it is.
I'm so sorry. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Well, good evening and Happy New Year, everyone. Chair Whitesell, board members, and honorable guests. I'm Carol Hoshko, Dean of Community and College Relations at Kapiolani Community College. I know I've been coming before you for I don't know how many years now giving you updates about the Culinary Institute of the Pacific, but I am really excited to give you some of the latest information. Now, Jackson, I'm not sure if you received the PowerPoint that I sent. If not, I'd like to share screen.
Yeah, it seems like he received it, but he's unable to share it from his screen at this time.
Okay, can you see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. All right. Well, for the phase 2 construction of the Culinary Institute of the Pacific, what you're going to see is there's quite a bit of difference between what I showed you the last time and what you'll see today. Some of the construction activity updates are that there is an erection of the restaurant steel and metal deck, installation of wood beams and wood deck for the dining hall roof. They have completed the pouring of the auditorium interior slab on grade. There's final grading and forming of the sidewalk path from phase 1 to the auditorium. Excavation and utilities are underway for the Innovation Center, which is located next to the lab that currently exists. And they're starting to do the wall framing of the restaurant and auditorium. So keep in mind what I just commented on, and I'll show you a picture now of looking towards Diamond Head at the restaurant and auditorium building. So again, the restaurant steel and metal deck, the wood beams, completed the auditorium interior slab, final grading and forming of the sidewalk path from phase 1 to the auditorium, and excavation and utilities are underway at the Innovation Center. I don't have a picture of that one right in this slide presentation, but here's another slide, and that's what the view is going to be looking like from the restaurant dining area. Do you have any questions about that? If not, I can tell you about an event that's coming up. Okay, the next thing that I would like to tell you about is there's an evening with Francis Lamb and the Splendid Table on January the 18th at Hawaii Theater from 7 to 8:30. And there are a number, 7 to be exact, thought leaders in culinary who are going to be making the connection between food, culture, and technology. This event is sponsored by the Culinary Institute of the Pacific and Hawaii Public Radio. So we're not just about building, we're doing programs as well. I did send a copy of the poster to your board, so you should be able to see the poster and the QR code on that poster if you're interested in coming. The last thing I want to mention is that our new chancellor will be starting March 1st. So I'll have a new boss. So if I look nervous, you'll know why. Okay, any questions?
Great, thank you so much, Ms. Hoshiko.
You're
Are there
welcome.
any questions from the public? All right, hearing none. Any questions or comments from board members?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question too. Yeah,
Oh,
my
do we?
hand's up.
Yes?
Okay, I see Miss Laura Ruby.
Yes, Carol, I appreciated your presentation the other day. I attended, and Winston and I think both wanted to suggest, and I think you were sort of saying that there'll be some kind of climbing vines that obscure that retaining wall. And we also have asked you for some kind of color or camouflaging of the large concrete slabs to bring them into more conformity with the Diamond Head area. And the other thing that I suggested was that there should be more tree planting. And I sent you an email suggesting that there are certain small carve outs that you can do in the parking area so it won't look like a desert when you're approaching. And there are trees that would be very advisable to put in there. Whoever your landscape person is, I suggested that you talk with Roxanne Adams at UH Manoa, a landscape director, and see her assessment of it. But we really do need trees there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Laura. I did receive your email, and I do appreciate your attendance at the CIP virtual town hall meeting, as well as Winston's. Many of the things that you brought up at that conversation, the facilities people are looking into. And I did want to mention that we just got a new facilities manager who started this week, and I found out that that person has a landscaping background. So hopefully that's going to make a difference. And we will get back to you with some answers to the questions that you asked. And you made me remember I needed to announce one more thing, and that is that the next quarterly Culinary Institute virtual town hall meeting is on April the 6th at 5 o'clock. And at that meeting, I'm going to try to corral our brand new chancellor and ask her to come and say hello to you in that meeting.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I also see Noella.
Oh, hi. Happy New Year, Ms. Hoshiko. Thank you so much for the update. What's going on up there on the mountain is of a great special to me and my family. Two of my sisters got married up there at the Cannon Club, which was from long, long, long ago. My one sister was in the 60s and the other one was later on. And when the university purchased that land and decided to keep it beautiful and create, which you are doing, thank you. It just sparked me so deeply, and that was I can't I can't remember if it was before 9/11 or after 9/11, but I remember thinking my dad, who was already gone, would be so happy because our time as military going up to the Cannon Club on that beautiful, beautiful, you get to see it all, and it's such a wonderful place. Long story short, Miss Hoshiko, I would ask you to somehow see if this can be facilitated on behalf of everybody here. Um, I'd like to see it named. The Cannon Club was the military name, but I think, and I thought this from the get-go, that there was sadly, we lost one of our own, Heather Malia Ho, a 1987 Punahou graduate. We lost her when the Windows of the World went down. And she was a wonderful young woman who had her whole life in front of her on 9/11. And ever since you folks told the public what you folks are going to do up there on that beautiful mountainside, I would ask humbly, with all due respect to her family, to you, to the Board of Regents, to anybody listening to this right now, to please consider naming the dining room the Heather Malia Ho dining room. We have to remember our brothers and our sisters in Kapuna who left us that awful day. And that's what I want to say. And thank you once again. My family has deep ties to that place. So thank you very, very, very much. And Happy New Year to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Noella. I can feel your emotion by what you were saying. I do want to let you know that many people have commented about the former Cannon Club, and they're remembering what happened there and the many events. We did have a hui that came together, and they wanted to call the lounge the Cannon Club Lounge. So I believe that is going to happen. There are naming opportunities for different rooms and areas within the restaurant and the rest of the facilities. So that has to be discussed with our foundation person. but I will definitely let her know of your request. I think the dining room may be named already, but I will check. But I'll have her get in touch with you.
Thank you. It doesn't matter what room. It just matters that that woman's dream is all with us because um, it's just what we here in Hawaii do. We are
Yes.
such a special place, and we do really nice things for our fellow man here. And I just think I don't care if it's the maintenance closet. At this point, I just think that she should be remembered. She did not go to the Culinary Arts College up there, but she is a alumni of one of our local schools. So
Okay.
with that said, thank you for sharing and keep the if you could put out a newsletter to people to keep us posted, the general public, because we're all very much looking forward to going up there.
Yeah, well,
Thank you very much.
I encourage you to participate in the virtual town hall that we do. And I think there's going to be an article coming out pretty soon in one of the newspapers or magazines. So, that's our effort to keep people posted. And I had to stop my walkabouts when the pandemic happened. So I haven't started that up again.
Well, maybe you could make a dessert because she was a pastry chef.
Oh.
Yes, she was. She had a sweet tooth, and you could possibly there maybe even the kitchen could be called the Heather Malia Ho Kitchen. I don't care. I just think it should be noted. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I will convey your thoughts to our foundation rep.
Mahalo.
All right. Thank you very much. Are there any final questions for Ms. Hoshiko? Seeing or hearing none, thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, so now we will move on to our item 6, open forum for resident concerns. Are there any residents who have any concerns? Right now I see Mr. Frank Floyd.
Yeah, thank you. I'm with the Mid-Pacific Roadrunners Club, and I wanted to inform the board about 2 events that we have coming up later this month and in February. These are 2 road races that we've had every year for many years, and it's pretty much the same same setup that we've had in the past. They start at and end in Kapiolani Park and then go around Diamond Head. One is called the Chapson Diamond Head Dash. It's an 8K run. It's on Sunday, January the 22nd. And the second race is the Johnny Farber 10K run, and it's on Sunday, February 5th. They both start at 7 a.m. We end usually by about 9 or so. We're all done and out of the park. The 8K goes from Kapiolani Park to like Triangle Park, around Diamond Head to Triangle Park and back. And the 10K goes a little bit further down to 22nd Avenue and then back through Kahala Avenue back to the park. The races do not involve any road closures. There will be police though at major intersections. And we expect usually each year we have about 150 runners do each of the races. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about them.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Floyd. I also see Laura Ruby.
Yes, thank you. I attended or I saw the City and County Zoning Committee that was held yesterday, and they brought up 3 affordable housing projects and they reviewed them. And of course, I am very concerned because my neighborhood is the so-called Kuile Place that's coming in, but it's just so completely adjacent to your neighborhoods that I wanted to make sure that you were alerted to something that's called affordable housing, which is not really affordable. And here are some of the things that I took away from that meeting. The 2 affordable housing projects, they all talked with the community long before they ever made plans. This was to get the community feedback. There was absolutely nothing done with Kuile Place. It just popped up, and all of a sudden we were presented with this at the neighborhood board. So that is one real concern. How can you go backwards when you've already got this mega plan that's going in place? Second, the height is 400 feet plus, but we really don't want anything higher than 300 feet, which is in keeping with the neighborhood. And even that is suspect. And then the third thing is setbacks. There's certain regulations that allow for minimal setbacks, but we're asking for much bigger setbacks. And we would like to have the continuation of Kapiolani, like let's say the lovely monkey pod shade trees or some other equal shade tree. And they should need to really be aware of that. And additionally, whatever's going to come in with the complete streets with the bicycle path, hey, that will take another lane away from the from Kapiolani, and that is already extremely congested. Fourth is the infrastructure. I think the Board of Water Supply woman was pretty clear in what's happening, but they're not saying we're not going to allow it, unfortunately, because it is a huge load onto our aging community water lines. And then the sewage, which is also infrastructure, again, it's the same as the water concerns, extremely limited. And then the traffic studies, which are very minimal, done by the developers. It's horrendous. The traffic is horrendous already. If you're out there in the morning or the afternoon, you'll see that people are just jammed up everywhere. Left turning done illegally across street, double red, yellow lines. And it's a big jam ups with the coned contraflow lanes. And so the traffic would only be able to turn in or out of that project with no left turns in, no left turns out. And then that makes it, puts the impact onto the lanes that are traveling in that direction too. And then finally, it's not affordable. And this is the bottom line, the takeaway. The AMI is used to get around the non-affordable or the affordable definition, but it's not affordable. And here's what I'm going to tell you about the Mo'ili community. The typical income for a person in Mo'ili, it is $37,000. You divide that by 12, that's about $3,000 plus a month. That's individual months. Now, these are going to be some rentals, some ownership. That figures out if you're in the bracket that's called affordable, or in the lower income, whatever the 40% or whatever 60%. It's approximately $1,300 for the rental or for the mortgage. That is what should be fixed as affordable for all people moving into that project. But affordable doesn't mean that to the developers, and that it's not going to be available to any of the people that live in Mo'ili because none of us are wealthy people being able to buy or rent in that particular situation. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. So please join Mo'ili because your neighborhoods could be next. And that's the real danger. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Ruby. And while this isn't typical, I believe board member Matson had something that she wanted to bring up that does relate to something that residents should be aware of. So we'll give her just a brief moment to fill us in on some information. And this is mainly because the agenda and the timing of when the agenda had to be published, new information that Ms. Matson has came out. So Ms. Matson, if we can go to what you wanted to share.
Thank you so much. What Laura has presented is exactly what I wanted to bring up. Because this project is being fast-tracked through council. They have only 45 days to approve or deny this project. And the developer is making all these promises. As Laura mentioned, the affordability factor is basically middle income. It is not low income. And I just want to mention that the resolution that is before that the zoning committee just passed out very quickly with not much ado. In fact, there was no discussion during the final consideration. there was another resolution that was introduced, I believe it was in October, the same thing. But the developer withdrew that because of the 45-day limit. And the reason was they wanted to get their stakeholders and members, I suppose this is the people who testified at, you know, in a series this last time at the zoning committee meeting. They wanted to get them organized, and they wanted to withdraw the resolution, and then they didn't say they would resubmit it, but that's exactly what they did very quickly at the end of December. And then here we are, and they've already had a zoning committee meeting on this without giving our board the opportunity to look at this. In the withdrawal letter that the developer sent, it mentioned Market City, Safeway on Kapahulu. All the shops on Kapahulu would be accessible to these thousands of people living in this 400-foot high-rise that violates existing zoning laws in height and density, and it also violates the required significant and protected view planes from Diamond Head. But nobody has brought any of this up, and we haven't had an opportunity to even meet on this because of the fast tracking of this. So I would like to recommend that our board have a special meeting with this on the agenda, as well as perhaps the complete streets, because these are both peripheral projects directly affecting our community and our lifestyle and the stability within our communities.
Okay, and since this, like I said, it's not typical, we're not going to spend any discussion on it at this point, but Board Member Mattson, if you want to email me with the information, we can take a look at maybe scheduling a special meeting for the community.
Thank you. The deadline would be January 25th, because that is the council meeting that will likely take up this project to vote on. It's only a resolution, so I believe it only has that hearing left. I have to confirm that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other resident concerns? Seeing or hearing none, we will move on to the next item, item 7, elected officials. First up is Council Chair Tommy Waters or a representative from his office.
Aloha everyone, Amanda Zabella here on behalf of Council Chair Waters. We apologize he couldn't make it this evening. He's actually been in back-to-back meetings all day long today and is still in one now. So earlier today we sent via email our monthly newsletter to the board members. Any member of the public who's interested in seeing that, please contact our office and we'd be happy to send you a copy. I've put our contact information in the chat. There was just a couple of other things I also put in the chat earlier in the discussion. There was a question about crosswalks. So I did have the HRS section 291C1 that defines what a crosswalk is, so you can take a look at that. And then earlier this week in Budget Committee hearing, Department of Budget and Fiscal Services provided a presentation on real property tax and assessments and valuations and all of the things that we're currently hearing about, all of the concerns coming in. It's very typical for this time of year, although we definitely do understand that things are just getting worse and worse. We do anticipate a number of items coming up during budget that will hopefully provide some relief to folks paying real property taxes. So please follow along our council agenda and our budget committee agendas for more information on that. Other than that, I'm just here to listen and take back any questions or concerns you might have.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any members of the public who have any questions or comments for Council Chair Waters? Seeing none, any questions or comments from board members in person? Seeing none, any from board members online? I see Mr. Bruce Wong.
Yes. As for Tommy Waters, what I would like to see is something put in place where our taxes either get frozen, property taxes get frozen, especially if we live and reside in a home that was from our ancestors. And basically, I know on Maui they have something called the kupuna housing type of law that freezes their taxes, their property taxes. Now, I can see increasing taxes maybe 2% a year. So in 50 years, go up to 100% of what we pay now. Because I see my grandchildren lose the property that we're on right now that my grandfather acquired almost some 100 years ago. And so property taxes will just keep on escalating as the prices of property go up. And it's sad that you base all the property taxes on the going price of what property sells for. That's not right for residents that have been on properties for generations. And so I want the city council to address this issue.
Thank you very much. Happy to take that back. And you know, I've heard similar suggestions before, so it's not you're not alone. Thank you for that.
I know we're not alone, but then it's like I've been watching this over the years and it just keeps on escalating.
We agree.
And there's nothing being done for us residents that want to live here and want our grandchildren to live here. And we just keep getting priced out of Hawaii. That's my concern.
Thank you. I know Chair Waters definitely shares the same concerns as well.
All right, thank you. Board Member Welch?
Yeah, I think so, Amanda, and we appreciate you being here. Just to ask that if Tommy could come to the meetings as well. You know, it's we're his constituents, and I think if your whole staff could come and hear what we have to say on a reasonably regular basis, that would be great. I know he's got other things that he has to attend to, but it would be nice to have him come by just to, you know, plug into, you know, pretty engaged community. Thank you.
Absolutely, and I know he plans on doing so. Thank you.
All right, Board Member Mattson?
Thank you. Aloha, Amanda. Thank you for being here. I would echo Board Member Welch's invitation to the council member. We haven't seen him in a long time, and we have some issues that would interest him directly, especially tonight. And I do understand that he attended the Kahala Neighborhood Board, and that's part of our discussion tonight as well. So when he can get back to us, we'd most appreciate it. I do have a question for you to take back to him regarding the council schedule that went out December 28th. The meetings on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays for the committees. These committee meetings used to be on the third week of the month. Are they? But this month they were on the second week, and that gave us no opportunity to develop testimony at our board meeting for certain issues. And so I'd like to know if these will be returned. These committee meetings will be returned to the second week of the month as they were before. Secondly, I would like to know if the Kapahulu Park trustees are going to have a meeting, it is the council's fiduciary, it is the Kapahulu Park trustees' fiduciary duty to meet and follow the court's recommendations. And we believe that there was under Council Member Topola, Trustee Chair Topola, there was going to be a meeting to establish a special committee, and there is a pending resolution before the council to establish a special committee to assist the trustees. And that's what the court recommended. But we've heard nothing. We don't even know who the chair of the trustees is at this point, or it is Council Member Topola still going to remain as such. Thank you.
Thank you. I will take both of those issues back. Thank you.
All right. Are there any final questions for Council Chair Waters' office? Seeing or hearing none, thank you very much.
Mahalo.
All right. Up next on our agenda, item B. Is there anyone from Councilmember Calvin Say's office or Councilmember Say himself?
Hi, this is Brandon from Councilmember Say's office. He sends his regards. He is also in a meeting this evening, but we do wish all of the board members and guests a happy new year, and congratulations to Dylan Witzel and Arlene Velasco. I believe you guys may have gotten our, I think, December report. If not, it will be forthcoming, but I don't have any major updates. I can take any questions back to our office if anyone has anything.
From the public, I see Miss Laura Ruby.
Hello. I'd like you to take this back to Council Member Say, please. It's in regards to parks and park closures and the non-Pono bridge across the Alawai Canal. The police officer that just earlier in this meeting tonight said that there were 105 park closure citations. I almost had one myself at Ala Moana Park. It's very good to have the people moved out. I also noticed that during the fireworks time, the police were around my park neighborhood, which is Alawai Park, and they were scooting people out, so we didn't have those monster bombs going off in the park this year. Now, the park closing at 10 p.m. is absolutely essential, and Calvin Say has to know that, and he has to not fund the non-Pono bridge anymore. That is really a basic. You want to have the quality of life for all the parks, and there should be no exception. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I'll take that back to our office.
All right, and I see Miss Daisy Marai.
Thank you, Chair. Brandon, I have a question. Any update with the city on the Alawai Golf Club driving range area? Are they planning to do anything else besides what's working now, such as their projects to do a huge area concession thing for something that Top Golf started, but Callaway Golf, I believe, is a new vendor. Is there any update as to what else they're going to do for the Alawai Golf Club or on the course?
Hi, Daisy. I am not a golfer. I don't pay attention to golf stuff. Alawai is outside of our district. That's in Chair Waters' district. But we can inquire with Enterprise Services to see what's going on with the Callaway contract.
Okay, thank you. I thought that was part of Councilmember Say's, but he's also involved because it also does include the bridge, and also he should be aware because it's going to happen. It's right abutting his community, so people are anxious, and the way the driving range works, it seems to be really working really well. Thank you.
Okay, I'll take that back.
Okay.
Yeah, as of the reportioning this month, I think south of Wailai is all Chair Waters district. We have north of Wildlife Avenue, but we can definitely inquire about the golf.
Okay, thank you.
All right, are there any other members of the public who have any questions or comments? Seeing none, any from board members in person? Seeing none, we will go to board member Murchie.
Hi there, Brandon. We had a meeting, and one of the new members of the meeting, I guess it was the Parks Department, our committee, said that at the St. Louis Association meeting, that Kelvin Sate discussed building out an infill, that it was all going to be built out. What, and this is hearsay, you know, but he said that they were going to be building it out with 4 to 6 story buildings. I think it was out to 6th Avenue or something like that. It was all the way back to 6th Avenue. What's that all about?
What was this? Like a housing project? I wasn't at the meeting.
No, it was like that they were going to redo the whole neighborhood with the DPP PUC, and that it was good. He told him that they're going to be building out and infilling, replacing all of the single family with 4 to 6 story buildings.
I
And
don't know.
and it was basically what the guy was saying was that it was a done deal. And I know that they've discussed it and that was on the plan, but it's a proposal and but he was telling him it was going to happen.
That's the first I've heard of this.
Yeah.
I'll have to take it back to the office.
Okay.
Well, I'll email you or give you a call.
Yeah, and also too, can you let me know when those St. Louis Association meetings are? Because I didn't even know that we had any.
Oh yeah, we can connect you with Mahea Bernal.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Oh.
And Michelle, do you want it? I mean, you were there when he was talking about that.
All right, and I see board member Mattson.
Thank you. Just a clarification. I believe this is what the new primary urban center development plan has as revisions by the Department of Planning and Permitting to redevelop Kapahulu from Kapahulu Avenue all the way to 6th Avenue with 6-story buildings along both sides of Kapahulu Avenue and 5-story multi-unit residential buildings on the single family home lots up to 6th Avenue. I don't know of any other proposal that sounds so much the same, Margaret, so I believe that's what is influencing perhaps the council member and other people as far as the changes to our established and stable and historic neighborhood, for which we have a resolution tonight, and you did attend the planning and zoning joint meeting, so we'll take that up. But I'm very interested in your report because it is so cut and dry and concrete, no pun intended, about what people expect will happen to Kapahulu, certain people. So thank you very much. I did want to ask Brendan about Bill 10 because that was deferred, and I know that 2 other bills have been introduced to address 2 of the issues that were in Bill 10. But do you know if that's going to be coming before the council or going to be reactivated regarding the land use ordinance?
That I do not know. I see our senior advisor, Janelle.
Yeah, Michelle.
Okay.
Hi, this is Janelle from Councilmember Stay's office.
Janelle.
With the reorganization of the committees, I'm not too sure exactly where Bill 10 is going to land, either in zoning or planning. I do believe that the director for DPP is requesting an additional extension of time.
Okay.
But we'll let the neighborhood board chairs know once that does hit back into committees.
Thank you.
All right, are there any other questions or comments from board members? I see Board Member Wong.
Yes, I was reading an article in the January 6th newspaper where it stated that Calvin Say was threatening to raise the property tax rate if assessments were lowered. And so, either way, I mean, it sounds like they're making us the cash cows, property owners. And so, to me, that's not right. And again, I'm going to repeat it. I want my grandchildren to be living in Hawaii and not be pushed out. And so, as if they say it's a slam dunk where these 5-story buildings are going to come into our neighborhoods, all that'll do is increase our property taxes. And then eventually we'll be like Makiki. We'll just get pushed out. And I do not want that to happen. And so I'm hoping that Kelvin Say can come to our meeting and talk about this. And this is not right. Please take that back to him.
Hi, Mr. Wong, this is Janelle again. I'm sorry, I did want to clarify that I'm not sure if it's how the article was framed or what the discussion was between, but what council member was implying to was that the increased valuations, a lot of it will be used for in the future to fill the gap for the collective bargaining, not that the council or the city itself were trying to raise property values in order to meet the city services financial needs. It was just that these increased valuations it's not, I guess, additional funding. It's not, cushioning the bank account. There's a need for it. Not that we're not going to try to, find a solution, but it wasn't that that the city or the council were gonna increase property tax rates or increase assessments.
In my opinion, property taxes needs to be frozen or reduced to a very minimum increase per year, and to prevent developers from coming into our neighborhoods and pushing us out. I just don't want to see that happen.
Yes, thank you. I know each council member is getting these calls from their constituents. So as Amanda had said, everybody's looking and continuing to look for different ways to solve this issue. And we'll bring that back to him as well.
Well, all I can say is that we're the voting public, and then we should bring in people that'll push the issue, that'll help us maintain our lives here, as well as for us and for our grandchildren and further.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Seeing no other hands. All right. Oh, Ms. Allen.
I have the answer for Member Murchie's question on when the St. Louis Heights Community Association will be meeting. We had a meeting this last Monday, but the next meeting will be Monday, March 13th, 7 p.m. at Hokolani Elementary School. The next one will be May 8th, then July 10th, September 11th, and November 13th.
Thank you very much. All right, and seeing no other hands, thank you, Calvin Say's office. Up next on the agenda is Representative Bertrand Kobayashi. Is anyone from his office online? Okay. Up next is Representative Jackson Sayama or someone from his office available.
Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. I just wanted to mention that, of course, the legislative session will be beginning next week on the 18th. We will have an opening day just like we had prior to the pandemic, so it would be open to public. I do want to mention, however, that the flu and I guess there's a new variant for the COVID, so it is great for you to come by, but if you do, just be careful for your own health and safety. That we recommend a mask, but of course it's not necessary. Few things for myself going into this legislative session. I'll be the vice chair for the Consumer Protection and Commerce Committee. For the moment, I will be chairing the committee actually, while my chair is recovering from or just for health reasons. So if you do have any questions regarding committee issues on consumer protections, please let my office know. Personally, I'll be pursuing legislation on a few fronts. First, and this is my number one priority, is to redevelop the Queen Leo Colony Elementary School property along Wailea Avenue. It's been used as a DOE administrative office for a number of years since the elementary school closed down. We've identified it as an underutilized facility, and I hope to redevelop it. At least the vision is that the first floor is pre-K classrooms. Second floor, DOE admin could use that as office space. Third floor and above would be teacher housing or just affordable housing in general, as well as a parking structure on the side for residents, office staff, as well as the general public to enjoy the Kaimuki small business area. Again, this is all just kind of brainstorming. I've just been meeting with a number of stakeholders, including the lieutenant governor, who has expressed interest in expanding Hawaii's capacity for pre-K classrooms. So I'll be, updating the board on that as I continue my progress on this project. The second one would be a partnership with the Department of Transportation on the road usage charge. As more and more people start to drive electric vehicles, the state and the county have been losing money from the gasoline tax. And this tax, its revenue, has been going towards maintaining our roads, which obviously aren't in the best of conditions. And we're losing more money to repair those things. So the Department of Transportation had a 3-year pilot program to basically charge electric vehicle owners as an opt-in program, not by $50 or $70 annual fee, but by how much you actually drive on the road. And this is about comparable to the gas tax amount. But for some users, especially in urban Honolulu, this saved them money. It was cheaper than the $50, $70 that they were paying already. For others in more rural areas, maybe on the neighbor islands, it might have been a little bit more expensive, but not by much. So this is something that I'll be pursuing legislatively, just because eventually more and more people are going to be using electric vehicles, and we need to find a sustainable way to make sure that our infrastructure is well maintained and up to date. Finally, I have other legislation, but this is probably the next thing on my priority, is the school psychologist licensure. As a lot of teachers and students face a lot of challenges with mental health through the pandemic and going forward. It's very clear that we need mental health professionals in our schools, counselors or psychologists. And so we're trying to figure out how we can create a regulatory framework to get people licensed as school psychologists in Hawaii. So again, this is filling that need for mental health care professionals in our school environments. That's about it for now. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know now, or feel free to contact my office later on.
Thank you very much. Are there any members from the public who have any questions or comments for Representative Sayama? Seeing none, any board members in person? Ms. Wong?
I worked in the public schools for 24 years, and the health aide covers some of that area, and the counselor also. But I think there's a definite need for what you propose, given the pandemic. So I thank you for that.
Sounds good. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Any other comments from board members in person? Seeing none. Any from board members online? Seeing none. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Up next, Senator Stanley Chang or someone from his office.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Teresa, and I'm here on behalf of Senator Chang. I just wanted to start by saying that we have a newsletter each month and every month, and you can find the newsletter on Senator Chang's website at senatorchang.com. I'm also pasting the link to the newsletter in the chat so you can view it on your computer. As Rep. Sayano mentioned earlier, opening day is next week, Wednesday, the 18th, and Senator Chang invites everyone here to come visit his office. His room number is room 226, the state capitol. For this session, or this upcoming session, Senator Chang will be chairing the Housing Committee as he has for a number of previous sessions, and this year he's also on the Water and Land Committee. We're not sure if this board was informed before, but the Waikiki Safe and Sound Initiative, part of it also covers the bottom of the Diamond Head area, and it's good news because we hope that with the increased law enforcement attention, there'll just be more attention for any actual crimes that may occur, and then hopefully homeless outreach providers such as IHS and the City and County Honolulu Support Team will also work in tandem to offer services and referrals to shelter and housing resources for any of the homeless members that they encounter. And if any of you have any constituent issues, please feel free to email me. I will copy my email into the chat. Please my email into the chat.
All right. Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the public for Senator Chang's representative? Seeing none. Any from board members in person? Seeing none. For online, board member Welch.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, Teresa, I know one of Stanley's passions is about housing and especially initiatives in that regard. What we need to see him introduce this term is to look at this 201H process, which is really wreaking havoc in our neighborhoods. And I'm not sure if people really understand this process, but as we've seen in the newspaper in the last week, we have issues in the back of Manoa Valley. We have the Kualei Place. We have other properties that are taking that are using a 201H to essentially. Normally we have DPP for people that may not understand the process, that you'd have to go through an application. It might take a while. You have setbacks, as Michelle Matson was saying. You have density limits. You have requirements for Florida area ratio. You have heights density limits and many other rules and regulations that are designed to keep our city from having chaos. With the 201H process, this absolutely bypasses this. And so for those of us who may not, we're all learning, I think, is because it was originally designated, my understanding, to be around transit-oriented development. But the back of Manoa Valley is not, there's not a train going back there, and there's not one on Kapiolani either. So this bypasses all regulation and fast tracks this system such that the Kool-Aid Place, as Laura Ruby was telling us, it was published on December 29th. The hearing was held 8 business days later. Our board didn't have a chance to consider it. Moili Ili's board didn't have a chance to consider it, although they did pass a resolution for the earlier version of this, which didn't change at all from what I could see. There was a hand-carried amendment, a floor amendment that day that the public couldn't even see, and now the city council has to vote on it. It's an up or down, and this is a massive, massive project, good, bad, or otherwise. You know, this circumvents the ability for area residents to have any input in this of any sort of meaning. So we need to have Stanley Chang, along with our other representatives, take a look at this and say, hey, you know what, this is, we needed a scalpel, not a sledgehammer. And the intent of, I think, the 201H has very good points, and we should keep that. There were 2 other affordable housing projects that went by in that council chamber. I'm sorry, the zoning committee yesterday or the day before that were very good. They were 60% of AMI. They were small scale. They asked for very few exemptions. That's not always the case, and this is getting communities up in arms. So we need to have a process that is reined in and says, okay, let's look at this again and see how this might not be to our best ability. Because for those of you who aren't concerned about it, this means that your neighbor across the street could decide to build an affordable housing unit, and there's a certain percentage in there, and right across the street, and they bypass all zoning that the city has. They don't even comment on it. DPP didn't even comment on the project that came up with Kool-Aid Place because they're not in part of the process. So this could disrupt every neighborhood in a way that we can't even imagine, that goes far beyond the resolution we're going to consider tonight, which is the DPP PUC plan, which is by comparison 1,000 times more organized and coherent. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Welch. Yes, I'll definitely bring your concerns back to Senator Chang.
All right. Are there any other comments or concerns from board members online? Seeing none, thank you very much. And finally, Senator Les Ihara, he was here in person. However, unfortunately, he was called back to the Capitol. So he was here, but he won't be able to give his report tonight. He also, oh, I forgot, by the way, for those of us in person, and we can try and get some copies online, but he did provide a map of his district boundaries overlaid over our neighborhood board boundaries. So it just helps for clarification. All right, so item 8, board business and presentations. Item A, update Waikiki Shell Improvements Project, Environmental Assessment and Special Management Area Use Permit at 2805 Montserrat Avenue.
Thank you, Chair Witzel. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to share my screen and go through a presentation. Okay, 1 second. All right, aloha, Chair Witzel and members of the Diamond Head, Kapahulu, St. Louis Heights Neighborhood Board. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak at this board meeting. My name is Isaiah Sato, and I'm from RM Tao Corporation. I'd like to present an update on the Waikiki Shell Improvements Project. We previously presented this project back in 2021, and my understanding was that it was brought up a few times in last year as well. So I just wanted to come back and talk to you guys at where we're at now and some of the changes that happened from our original proposal there. So the City and County of Honolulu proposes to provide improvements to the Waikiki Shell. These improvements require an SMA permit, a special management area use permit, and we anticipate to submit that in the coming weeks. I'll be going over the project site today, some of the proposed improvements, as well as the project timeline. So just real quick, this is the project site. So, I mean, the Waikiki Shell surrounded by the Honolulu Zoo to the Ewa side and Kapiolani Park to the Diamond Head side. The project site is accessed by driveways off of Montserrat, which is shown on the above the site in this photo, and there's a large parking lot right next to Montserrat there. So the proposed improvements are completely limited to within the Waikiki Shell premises. They don't extend into the parking lot. They don't extend into the park. They're all within the shell. So this next slide quickly shows the shell and the venue itself and the capacity there. So the Waikiki Shell is managed by the City and County of Honolulu Department of Enterprise Services. And there's a mixture of permanent seats, which is the fixed chairs bolted down to the ground, portable flexible seats, which is the foldable chairs that they will throw out for the accessible areas as well as for the pool area, and the lawn seating out in the back. So the permanent seats up in yellow, we have about 1,950 seats there. So that's these yellow seats. And the portable seats, we have an accessible lawn areas to both sides and the pool area right in front of the shell stage, and the lawn which in the back, which has a capacity of about 6,000 people there. So the total capacity on the site is about 8,600 seats. Okay, so this slide is kind of the bulk of the presentation. I wanted to talk about our improvements and really some of the things that changed since our original proposal. So I'm going to start here on the left and kind of make a clockwise circle around, but this item A remained the same. So we intend to replace the sign structure at the public entry. And again, I have photos of these in the next slide as well. Item B here, we plan to replace the existing open air food concession. Item C, we hope to modify the orchestra pit and the pool area, which is the area fronting the stage, to help improve drainage and better accommodate seating. Item D, this was a big change since our past proposal is we do intend to continue to replace the existing seats with new seats. So the seats would be placed in the exact same spots, would just be new upgraded seats. We did decide to remove the tensile structure from the master plan there. So as you may recall, in the previous iterations, we had proposed to install a tensile structure. And as we refined the project design, it was just removed from the master plan there. Down here below in E, we're proposing to replace the existing sound bunker. F is an expansion of fixed seating. So we showed it in this drawing right at the back of the existing fixed seating. So to expand the fixed seating towards the beach side there. So this was a design that was updated from the previous proposal. And lastly, on G, we're proposing to install a pedestrian covering and a sound baffle at the rear of the lawn area. So these are just some existing photos with some labels of where we're hoping to fix. So up here at the front is A, it's this existing sign structure we're hoping to demolish and place a new sign there. The old concession, we're hoping to replace that. Here C, as you can see the stage here on the left, where we'd like to work on this whole area to help improve the drainage there and just to help better accommodate seating and accommodate the guests at the site. Down here in D is some of the existing seats, so we'll be replacing the existing seats. And the tensile structure again was removed from the master plan. Okay, here on the top left, this is the existing sound bunker, so we're hoping to replace this and upgrade that sound bunker. Down below F, it's installation of new fixed seating. So that would be right behind the existing fixed seating. We're hoping to come a little bit up and add some seats there. G here, where we'd like to install a sound baffle and pedestrian covering at the rear end of the lawn seating. So the intent of this sound baffle is to help keep a lot of the sound on site and transmit it back into the shell area so that it doesn't transmit out to the Gold Coast and beyond the project site. And this bottom image is the same sound baffle, just from a different angle. And this is the last slide I got today. I just wanted to quickly go over a timeline. So we started with an environmental assessment and we made it through that process. And now we're at the special management area portion of the process. So we're working on preparing this permit currently, and this goes through a few phases. So it starts with DPP review. there. And within DPP review, there's going to be a public hearing where you guys are all welcome to attend and provide feedback on the project. And following that, it's ultimately approved by City Council via resolution there. And post SMA, there's still a lot to do to get the project to completion. We're going to be designing the project in multiple phases as the city obtains funding or approvals that way. We're going to be working on obtaining our permits and approvals, and that includes many permits, as you know, including the Diamond Head Special District permit, various construction plan approvals, and of course, SHIP-D concurrence on our plan there. And lastly, I mean, our main goal is we're hoping to improve the public's experience at the Waikiki Shell. And thank you. Any questions?
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So first we will start with members of the public. We will go with Miss Laura Ruby.
I know I mentioned this before in an earlier meeting when this was presented, but this is in regard to the women's bathrooms. I'm sorry, but how long do you have to wait in line through the whole of intermission to even get into the bathrooms? And I do not see any, for the increased number of seats, I do not see anything that says great expansion of the number of seats in any of the bathrooms, especially for the women. The men seem to do all right. So I would like to see that. It's a very unpleasant situation when you wait long periods of time to get to the bathrooms. So it really should be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ruby, for that comment.
All right, are there any other members of the public who have any comments related to this? I see Noella.
Yes, thank you very much. I definitely stand behind what Miss Ruby said regarding diverting the funds for, we don't need extra seating. The people like to sit on the lawn. They just do. We do. We like that stuff. But the bathrooms, oh boy, she's 100% on point on that. The whole sanitary facilities should be updated to present day to accommodate all of our visitors and all the locals to attend the concerts. Thank you.
Thank you, Noella. You know, I just wanted to touch real quick. The Eva women's restrooms were actually improved back in 2008, and they were expanded at that time. And the city they always give the vendors the option to provide additional restrooms for their guests if they think that their event will need more restrooms there. Thank you.
Okay, Miss Daisy Marai.
Thank you. My question is, those extra 2,000 or so raised seatings are going to be on the lawn area. Is that correct?
So the design is still in the conceptual phases. We don't have any drawings yet for the exact number of seats and the exact location, but the conceptual plan that we showed is closer to where we think that it might be. In a previous iteration, you might be recalling it was kind of shown in the middle of the lawn, taking a good portion of the site, and it really bifurcated the lawn or split the lawn in half. And we kind of worked on improving that conceptual design, and we're hoping to have it immediately behind the seats to really limit the impact on that lawn area in the back end. In our EA, we discussed up to 2,000 seats, and we're gonna continue to figure out what's the right number for the public out there.
Okay, my concern is the line of view of sight for those people sitting on the lawn. You know, with raised seats and people being tall sometimes, it's very difficult to see the stage if it's going to be blocking your view. And also, the restrooms, are they all ADA compliant also? Because there are people now going there with wheelchairs and walkers, etc. So those two also has to be in consideration. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Marai.
All right, now on to board members. Are there any comments from board members in person. Ms. Wong.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Number one, I would like to ask for a copy of your presentation, either in hopefully video, digital presentation. And is that possible?
Yeah, Member Wong, I emailed a PDF of my presentation to the chair earlier today, so hopefully
Can I
he'll
get
be
a
able
copy?
to
But you're asking about video.
I don't know if I'm using the right terminology. I would like
Okay, if you didn't get it, then I can get you something.
thank you.
Yeah.
As much as you can, please. I'm getting a lot of feedback about the shell, mostly about the so-called roof. And you said you're thinking about putting it in back of the whole shell, the whole seating after the lawn area.
No, so the tensile structure was removed from the master plan, and originally that was covering the fixed seating area, but the city decided to remove that from the master plan. All the way at the back of the site, they were looking at just a pedestrian covering over that sidewalk that's around the back part of the site, and to include some type of sound noise baffle system in that product as well. But it wouldn't extend beyond that 5 or so foot sidewalk width there.
I find the most problem with the shell as it is, or there's two things. You know that row after row 17 where the wide walkway is? First you have the pool area, then you have the first 16 rows, and then there's a big wide walkway. Now, if you sit behind those first 16 rows, there's people walking back and forth, dancing around just for the sake of doing it. You know, it's the nature of some people. That I would modify that somehow. The people, sometimes the guards there will make the people go up on the sides and around. Are you checking me?
Yeah, thank you for that comment, Member Wong. I mean, I think what I cut out a little bit, but I think what I heard was that in some of the access aisles between some of the rows, it
Yeah.
seems wide enough for guests to dance or move
They
about
could,
there.
yeah, it's big, it's wide. It's about at least 10 rows. And it's just a place where people can cut across from the left side to the right side.
Okay, thank you for that comment. I'll take
Yeah,
it back
it's right
to the
behind
city.
the disability seating. It's a row behind the disability seating. It's a big, wide walkway. And people are, you know, if you're trying to watch the show, people are constantly going back and forth. People like to be noticed, you know, they're doing their thing. They're just back and forth, back and forth. Even when it's a slow, nice flute kind of music or something, they still do that. So
Yeah,
that's a problem. Go ahead.
thank you for that comment, Member Wong. I
Okay.
do know there's some standards and, I mean, a wide enough walkway that the city wants to make sure that there's not going to be any type of pedestrian
No, it's
or
huge.
clog there
It's
too. So,
plenty
but I'll
wide.
take that comment back to the
They
city.
should, yeah, they should have to go up around the seating area in the back, past it. I'm really glad you took away the tinsel roof because I received nothing but yelling about that. It's outside. Why are you going to put a roof on it? You know, and so I'm glad you listened. Um, the people like Daisy was talking about, how are they going to see over the raised people? You have people on the lawn, then you have raised people, I guess, in the seating area. How are the people from the lawn going to see the screen or who's up there?
Right.
Yeah, and it's definitely not our intent to make seats that are obstructed seats or seats that they wouldn't be able to see the stage. So that's a concern that we'll take a closer look at as we design
I
the
don't
site.
understand why you raise them. I mean, some people would get a better view, but people sitting around them would have an obstructed view, I would think. I'm getting a lot of feedback because it started out so badly with wanting to put a roof over the shell, the open air shell, you know, our prized thing. One of the things is when the Casimiro brothers were there, when they left after their 20 years, I talked to Robert and I asked him, would you consider coming back? He says, not with those termites. there's all kinds of termites underneath the stage with like 250 chairs under there. And I'm wondering if they have been removed and if you would consider doing something about that because the entertainers don't like going down there.
My understanding is there's no termite issues currently, and if there was in the past, that they've been addressed.
Okay, I'd like you to make sure of that.
All right, I think
It's a
we're
problem.
gonna go to another board member at this point. If we can have board member Matson.
Isaiah, thank you so much for this presentation. It is absolutely wonderful to know that the decision has been made not to construct the tensile roof structure. There was so much opposition, and our board wrote a lengthy review commentary regarding the shell project, and the main focus was that tensile roof structure, as well as the expanded seating, which has been removed. So I don't know who is making these very wise decisions, but please let them know we really appreciate going back to preserving the shell as it is, as a historic structure within the historic site, without all of the engineering and construction projects that would have completely changed it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Matson.
Okay, and I think lastly have board member Welch.
Hey, thanks, Isaiah, for coming and presenting. Yeah, I just want to sort of, I think what Linda was saying and what Daisy were saying, a couple of points is that it's very distracting for entertainers and the rest of the audience to have people walking essentially in front of others. So if you can figure out a way to direct traffic flow where people come essentially behind all the people sitting and then flow down from there, that's what they're trying to say. The other thing is about these idea of raised seating. I think that's a non-starter because you're going to block almost all views from the grass. So I would instead suggest that you dig back into the mountain. Dig back into the hill a little bit more, however many feet you need to go, 10 feet back or whatever it is, and just continue on with the seating there. That's the only thing that makes sense with something like that. So you're not obstructing the view of the people on the lawn. I didn't see if you had addressed any of the other outbuildings and the structure itself with any renovations or repairs or electrical upgrades and plumbing upgrades. I think that we talked about that before, and maybe I missed that in what you had just said. But is that going to be part of the scope of this? Finally, as far as the baffles go in the back of that, I'm curious as to the actual effect of that. I would imagine there's no effect given the shape and of the shell itself, where the speakers are. It might minimize a very small amount of sound going to the Gulf Coast, but I can't imagine that it would have any impact. But I'd be happy to be proven wrong in that and look at any sort of sound studies that you might have done with something like that. But even if you were to do something like that, a lot of people that don't want to pay for a concert, they'll go and sit on the outside in the park for a lot of things, and it just is an overflow area. That aside, I wouldn't put any roof structure on there with all the leaves that you have. That's just work for DES that they can't keep in, that they can't and won't keep up. It'll just add to rot. If you do a baffle structure, just leave well enough alone and have it be vertical. But I'd like to see if you have done sound studies and what they actually measure, and is it worth the cost or investment of something that isn't nature's going to want to eat. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Member Welch, for those questions. There's a few questions there, so I'll try to get to them. But I think the first question was talking about improvements to some of the buildings in the area. So the buildings that we're touching is that open air food concession. So that's one. Stage type related improvements is the sound bunker improvements would be that kind of ties into the stage equipment, or I guess the presentation of the show, and that we're hoping to improve. There was recently a stage improvements project that went through under an earlier SMA a few years ago, and the music system and the stage improvements are not included in this current project. And the other question regarding the sound baffle is, again, the intent is that we help the noise impacts in the area, and we haven't gotten through a noise study yet, and that's something that's going to come when we start getting into the design phase and start moving the project forward that way. And of course, if we're not seeing the results, then we would likely shift our paths at that time.
And about that raised seating, is that the actual intent, or were you just talking sort of going into that area but at a lower level like the rest of the seating is now?
Yeah, we'd like to go in at a lower level. That is like similar to what you're explaining. That's closer to the existing seating that wouldn't be right in front of people in the lawn, so they can't see. You don't. It's not like you're sitting behind bleachers. That's not the intent of the design. But
Yeah, but if you go the way it's made.
excuse me.
I think someone was just off mute.
Okay.
Are there any final questions, board
Mine
member
was
Murphy?
just a suggestion, yeah. It was can you make the seats a little wider? Because right now they're really tight. Even the front VIP section, they're so tight. You know, if you're sitting beside a big person, you're in big trouble. And also, too, you still can't see. If $175 for a seat, you can't see. It's kind of a bummer. But also, the shows that I've noticed now only go to 9:30. I know that they can go till 10, but because of their conscientiousness, they shut down at 9:30. They said that they were scared that people were going to pull the plug on the lights or something. But the seats are definitely need to be, you know, just a little bit wider to maybe reconfigured so that you can see between people. Can you build them on a slant, or are you going to do anything like that?
I'll bring that comment to the city, Miss Murchie.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, but I mean, I love the show. And I love that you're not going to touch not use the cover anymore. Thank you.
Okay, I think I saw board member Wong.
Yeah, I just have one comment. You know, after speaking to people that have performed there, is anything going to be addressed about the pigeons that are roosting up in the ceilings? So.
Oh, Lynn.
Yeah, thank you, Member Wong, for that comment. I'll talk to the city and see what's happening with that.
Okay, and we will take one final comment from Noella.
Yeah, hi, Mr. Sato. Thank you so much for your presentation. Happy New Year. I think just I don't do what you do, but I think that if you just, that one walkway area that everybody walks back and forth, just fill that with seats, leave the bunker there, and the lawn stays intact. And everybody, as Mr. Welch said earlier, just has to go up and around. That's just add a whole bunch more seats in that back and forth walkway, because that bothers everybody up on the lawn, you know. But that's a simple way of doing it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Noella. We'll take these comments back to our designers when we get there, and I think this is really good feedback, and I appreciate it, from the community there. And we appreciate coming to these meetings to talk to you guys.
All right, well, great. Thank you so much for showing up to our meeting tonight, Isaiah.
No problem. You have my
Right.
contact if you guys have any questions or follow-up.
Yep, okay. Thank you again. Okay, so on the next item of board business and presentations, and I do just want to give a reminder to the board that we have less than 30 minutes left of our meeting. So if everyone can just remind themselves to keep comments tighter and more germane so we can get through the rest of the things on the agenda. We still also have another presentation. But up next is item B, primary urban center development and sustainable communities resolution. And so I think maybe board member Matson would like to start on that.
Thank you, Chair. I know that our neighborhood assistant distributed the final draft of the resolution that our joint committee worked on with the Parks, Recreation, and Environment Committee Chair Welch. We had a very active meeting, a lot of participation, and a lot of support on this from both board members and residents. And I'd like to actually not take a lot of time, hoping that everyone has had a chance to review this. We will note the final paragraphs of the resolution, but just so that the board members and residents who were at the meeting might comment about this, just very, very briefly, those who wish to, and also the co-chair of the joint committee, committee chair Welch, very briefly, just to give a background and their thoughts on moving forward with this. Thank you.
Thank you. So at this time, did board member Welch want to add anything?
He's on mute.
Sorry. Yeah. So for people that may not remember, there's 8 sustainable communities around Oahu, and sustainable communities doesn't mean they're eco villages. It just means that they're stable communities that aren't slated for development and growth in an urban way. And then there's 2 urban communities. One is out on Eva, and then the other one runs from Pearl City here. And there's a sliver of it that goes along Kaimuki over to Kahala, actually, and it bifurcates their district over there into East Honolulu and the primary urban core. So what we had discussed and come up with is that we are much more similar in this area, Diamond Head, Kapahulu, St. Louis Heights. We are very similar to East Honolulu compared to Mo'iliili or Waikiki, as a stark difference. And so we're asking that the city puts in with the East Honolulu plan, because it is much more similar to how we look and feel in this neighborhood, a stable community that's not slated for development. Mo'iliili, Makoli, Ke'eaumoku, Waikiki, all the way down through, it's just going to continue all the way west. But if we don't want this unbridled development, if we don't want 6-story buildings suddenly appearing next to us, and this, by the way, is not the 201H that I mentioned earlier. This is by the DPP, where they say, hey, anybody who wants to do this, you can do this. So when the neighbors tear down their single-story house and put up a 5-story house, that's it, because that's in the plan. If we are taken out of that plan, there's nothing to say that the city couldn't change the East Honolulu plan, but it would be a lot more reluctant to do so, I think. And so this gives a measure of stability for our neighborhoods. It doesn't mean that there couldn't be, renovations or additional dwelling units or even apartments and those sorts of things built in here. It just means that they would have to conform to a standard that is coherent and cohesive with what we understand our neighborhoods to be right now, and not turn into Mo'iliili, not turn into Makiki, where you have high rises next to you, literally. And that is what this resolution, in a nutshell, proposes.
Thanks, Winston. Bruce, did you have a comment? Bruce Wong?
Pretty much Winston covered it. So we just don't want to be looking like Makiki.
And let's see, Linda Wong was at the meeting, and Arlene and Margaret, and also Laura, if any of you have comments.
Ms. Wong.
I'll just quickly say that this is built on all these buildings are getting extra exits from the DPP rules because they're going to have some affordable housing. Now, affordable housing is built on a misnomer anyway. It says affordable, and that is the salary of an RN nurse and a policeman. I know the policemen start out at not too high a wage, but that's not the people in the streets. It only addresses the workforce. They had a front page article in the Star Advertiser last week, and it says, but of course, they pointed out that affordable is not affordable, and that's a misnomer. But they said we must house our working force. There needs to be, because they're going above the height limits, they're going above the density limits. There's all kinds of things, putting mirrors
Excuse
on
me,
buildings.
Linda, I think you're talking about another
Oh.
project here that
Oh.
that we haven't even had on the agenda yet. So,
Oh.
but you're right. Basically, the
Yeah.
principle is to retain the established character and historic nature of our stable neighborhoods within the neighborhood board district. There are 3 communities, Mackay to Malka, Malka to Mackay. It resembles basically Anahu Pua'a, and all the resolution has the basically illustrations of each of these communities and their the integrity of these communities, as well as how the configuration is our neighborhood board district that encompasses these 3 communities. Also, the Kahala Neighborhood Board has, they are also passing a resolution because their district is bisected between the 2 planning, the 2 planning documents, the East Honolulu Sustainable Communities Plan and the Primary Urban Center Development Plan. They are asking the city to make sure that the entire district is within the East Honolulu Sustainability Plan because of the character and nature of their community, very similar to our 3 communities. And there was a lot of research backing our actually in compiling this resolution, and also research on the 3 communities. And the Kahala Neighborhood Board representative spoke at one of our committee meetings to inform us of their concerns, and at which we do share as stable communities. So I think instead of reading the whole resolution, we will just read the final paragraphs. They're basically the concluding paragraphs, but I do want to find out if anyone has who attended this meeting has any further comment.
I just had a quick clarification question. What's if there is a primary difference between what we passed at the November meeting and what this resolution is?
There was only a motion at the November meeting that made by board member Linda Wong that was approved by 2/3 of the board, 2/3 majority of the board, to request the transfer of the board's district in the planning process from the primary urban center development area, which is geared toward major growth and development to the Sustainable Communities Plan area, which the closest to us is East Honolulu.
Okay, and
However,
then is this
we
more about
can,
sending it to people now, like the council and
yes,
chair and
well,
representatives?
those three paragraphs, yes, for this resolution would do that. Um, the, well, I'm sorry. Why don't we just go to the three paragraphs, because I know we don't have much time.
Yep.
And Winston, okay. Winston, would you like to read them into the record, or would you like me to?
Go ahead, please.
Okay. All right. In answer to your question, Chair, the resolution concludes with, be it resolved that the Diamond Head Kapahulu St. Louis Heights Neighborhood Board requests that the Honolulu City Council Chairman and District 4 Council Member Tommy Waters draft and advocate legislation to ensure the planning objective of protecting the established, stable, and historic communities within the Diamond Head Kapahulu St. Louis Heights Neighborhood Board District under the East Honolulu Sustainable Communities Plan or similar Sustainable Communities Plan. Be it further resolved that Diamond Head Kapahulu St. Louis Heights Neighborhood Board requests that the Honolulu Department of Planning and Permitting and elected officials initiate and support amending the Oahu General Plan's primary urban center east boundary to coincide with the west boundary of the Diamond Head Kapahulu St. Louis Heights Neighborhood Board District, thereby placing the whole of the Diamond Head Kapahulu St. Louis Heights Neighborhood Board District and its communities within the Sustainable Communities Plan. Be it finally resolved that this resolution shall be sent with request for confirmation of receipt to the mayor and managing director of the city and county of Honolulu, the director of the Honolulu Department of Planning and Permitting, the Honolulu City Council, and Honorable Chairman and District 4 Council Member Tommy Waters, and provided to the chair and members of the Waialae Pahala Neighborhood Board, Manoa Neighborhood Board, Makali Mo'ili'ili Neighborhood Board, Kamiki Neighborhood Board, Palolo Neighborhood Board, and other concerned, interested, and affected groups and individuals. And I might add that Councilmember Waters attended a recent Kahala Neighborhood Board meeting when they brought this up for their own community. And he assured them that if, when they present something to him in writing, he will look into drafting legislation for this purpose. So I believe our own council member understands the need for this. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution relating to sustainable community plans, primary urban center development, and ensuring the protection of Kapahulu, St. Louis Heights, and Diamond Head as established historic and sustainable communities?
I so move.
I second.
Can we get who moved and seconded for Jackson?
Margaret.
Okay, so Margaret Murchie moved, and who seconded? And Linda Wong seconded. All right, Jackson, can you do a very quick roll call vote because we have a bunch of people online?
Point of order.
Yes.
Don't we need discussion on this?
That is true. If we have any quick discussion.
I do.
Okay, please go ahead.
I'd like to explain my opposition to this resolution. I read the whole thing. It reads like our whole neighborhood is historic single-family dwellings, but actually a lot of us are living in apartments. And so I don't agree with treating our whole neighborhood as the same. And, you know, the apartment zone is on the Eva side of the Kapahulu sub-district, and in the Gold Coast and Pule Circle within the Diamond Head sub-district, and even in the St. Louis Heights sub-district along Waialae Avenue. These are apartments, and so I don't think that the whole neighborhood should move to you know, out of the primary urban center and into a sustainable community plan. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your comments, Board Member Boyd.
I'd just like to respond to that very quickly. This
Ms. Matson,
resolution
Ms. Matson,
reads
I think
residential
everyone's
area.
expressed their views, but we only have like 10 minutes left. if
I
that.
understand.
So,
Thank
yeah,
you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who hasn't spoken who has any final comments? All right, hearing none. Now, Jackson, if we can go to a roll call.
Julia. Can you hear me?
If you like.
Is this working? There we go. Julia.
Aye.
Rafia.
Aye.
Margaret.
Aye.
Bert.
Aye.
Bruce.
Aye.
John.
Nay.
Dylan.
No.
Is Wendell Murakawa here? No. Winston.
Aye.
George.
Aye.
Arlene.
Aye.
Michelle.
Aye.
Dawn.
Aye.
Laura.
Aye.
Linda.
Aye.
All right. So final vote of 12-0. It passes.
Thank you, Jackson. Moving on to our last piece of board
Thank you.
business. Presentation by Hawaiian Tel, work at 3237 Hinano Street.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Sorry, I heard some feedback, so I'm guessing so. I'm going to try to make this quick. I know we're low on time. My name is Matthew Yang. I'm a project manager representing Hawaiian Tel and Verizon Wireless for a telecommunications project named Kapahulu 8, located at 3237 Hinata Street. It's about a mile north, directly north from the Diamond Head crater. This project is a wireless installation on a city and county of Honolulu-owned streetlight in the public right-of-way that will serve to fill in gaps of coverage on Verizon's network. We've been working with DFM and DPP extensively to come up with a design that maximizes safety and minimizes visual impact and falls within FCC's guidelines. We currently have all city approvals required and are looking to construct the project sometime in 2023. Reference docs for this installation should be available on the OneDrive, and if you have further questions after reviewing them, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll drop my email in the chat. I want to really quickly go through the installation. I'm going to share my screen real quick. Okay. So this is the location. It's in the right of way, almost directly in front of 3237 Hinano Street. Next page is the HT trench from an existing Hawaiian Tel handhold to our pole. It's approximately 15 feet, so not very long. And then this is the Verizon portion of it. This is the pole, and then this is oops. Then this is the proposed equipment. It's a 4G canister antenna. There's 3 radios mounted under it, a mounting kit, and 2 disconnects, one for Verizon and one for the city. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. But that is my presentation.
Thank you very much. Any members of the public who have any comments briefly? Seeing none. Any from board members in person? Board member St. Denis.
So what areas is this going to cover?
It'll approximately 300 feet in radius. So think of a bubble of around 300 feet.
All right, thank you. And I see Board Member Matson.
Thank you, Matthew. I'm glad you were finally able to get on our agenda after 3 months, and I apologize. There were some, I guess, remote delays, but I'm glad you're able to make this presentation. I do have a question about the height of the pole, and is this the only pole in the area, or are there others? And what is the plan for future expansion, if any?
So currently, first of all, thank you for helping us get on the agenda, by the way. I saw your emails. Currently, this is the only one that we're moving forward with. There are 2 more slated that we have for this area. But I mean, this is the new wave. I'm sure there'll be more to come.
And the height?
The height of this installation specifically, 29 feet, 4 inches.
So about the height of a 2-story house.
Correct.
And are these going to be on the street sidewalk fronting homes when they're installed, or does the location vary?
The location does vary, but generally they're going to be where street lights are. So on sidewalks in the public right of way.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you very much.
Okay, great. Are there? Oh, okay. Board Member Wong.
Just quickly, have the people in Hanano Street been notified of this project?
No, but 3 months prior to construction, we will be sending out notifications to everyone, I think within 250 feet of the installation. And they'll be getting a letter in the mail and a chance to respond.
I would think that it would be sooner than that, but thank you for answering my question.
Okay, are there any last questions for Mr. Matthew Yang? Seeing none, thank you so much for your time and hanging out this late.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks.
Okay, it is now 8:57. If the board doesn't mind, if we can just defer minutes, and unless anyone has anything pressing with the sub-district reports or committee reports. Board Member Linda Wong.
I'm sorry, but it's happening really fast. First, the showers at Kaimana Beach have been out for a week, and I'm working on that with Parks. But we're going to probably have a groundbreaking ceremony, and it might be before our next meeting. So I just wanted to say that.
Okay. So as I said, if anyone has an issue with just deferring the minutes, any opposition to that? Hearing none. Just any sub-district reports? Any committee reports? Hearing none. Reports of board members attending meetings. I think we had some board members attending a few meetings like the Waikiki Neighborhood Board. But if there's anything else that anyone wants to share? Hearing none. Announcements. I'm currently working on trying to figure out working to get OneDrive transferred to myself. When I do that, we can move forward with that. Other than that, is there anything else? Once, twice? Okay, we will adjourn this meeting at 8:59 p.m. Thank you.
Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Thank you, Chair. Great job.
Thank you.